If this goes on, don't panic. Bringing hope to the world through speculative fiction.
Hello and welcome to If This Goes On, Don't Panic. Today we have New York Times bestselling author Lili Saintcrow. Kat, how are things going?
Things are up and down. I did something funky to my back on Sunday, but today it's starting to feel better and I don't have to sit there and think about it for 10 minutes before I get up or sit down. So that actually makes me feel giddy with delight.
Oh, yes. Yes, I have not had a back issue for quite some time, but my neck just loves to stop working in the middle of the night. And I wake up the next day and I'm like, I can't look to the left. So I guess I'm not doing that for a week or two. I've always had a lot of issues with tendinitis over the years. I get that every now and then, but it's always like a different joint. Like sometimes it's my knee, sometimes it's my hip, sometimes it's my ankle. Like it moves around.
This
you can't
is aging,
decide,
Alan.
You know?
This is. I hate to tell you this, but it doesn't you don't suddenly go, oh shit, now I'm getting younger, and it all goes away.
Damn it! Really? That's what I thought was happening.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. I heard a really weird thing the other day, and I wondered if you had heard about this. A friend of mine owns a bookstore that works. I shouldn't say works. They sell primarily BIPOC books.
Oh, nice.
Okay. And yeah, down in Atlanta, actually. I have the name written down here somewhere. I think it's my Two Best Friends Cafe, I believe. And she was telling me that, you know how books you can if they don't sell, they send them back. So apparently most publishers do not accept BIPOC books back.
You mean, but is it because of a cover thing? Or something else?
Yeah, I don't know. She's like, I can send back Stephen King books, but I can't send back she mostly focuses in romance, and I knew nothing about romance.
Yeah.
So, a BIPOC romance author, they won't accept them back. And I was like, that is bizarre. I have literally never heard of that before.
I'm very lucky in that I live a couple of blocks away from a lovely bookstore that is Black owned and focuses on Black writers and neurodivergent and queer writers. And so I'm going to ask Kathy about that, because that's bullshit. If that's, I wonder if that is because traditional publishing is so bad about publishing writers of color that they're having to go with the small presses, and because small presses are very bad about taking books back.
I don't know, but she said that, and I was just, I wanted to immediately be appalled, this is a race thing, but I really don't know for sure. But of course, it does seem that way, right?
Well, even if it's not a formal system, we've got this weird, fucked up system that constantly does things sort of as an outgrowth of the way it's created, that disadvantages anybody who's not cis, white, male, wealthy. So, do you really want me to start ranting about that, or should we move on?
It's up to you. Do you feel like you need to rant about it? Or
no, I really want to talk to Lili Saintcrow because I have been reading her stuff for a long time, and I am super stoked to have her here.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Well, I do want to make a couple short podcast announcements. Number one, and Kat, I don't know if you've noticed this, but my friend Jen Eddy has been helping a little with social media, and she's much better at this stuff than me. She's not painfully introverted like myself. and, is like, yeah, let's text this. Let's send this out. Let's do this. Let's do this. And I'm like, oh God, I never even thought of that. Oh yeah, that's it. So hopefully you all will start seeing better social media, because I suck at social media. I'm not ashamed to say it. And so she volunteered to help us out with that. And I'm just excited. And she's already doing a great job sending out like scheduled things and not just random ranting things like I usually do. So
that's awesome.
Yes. And also, I know probably, gosh, I don't even know, 4 or 5 podcasts ago, I was like, yeah, we're getting website work done. And then time slowed down into like molasses, and things have not happened. But I swear that is still going forward. We are still getting the website redone. It's really my fault. I just have had I've mentioned multiple times, lots of personal stuff going on. And, sometimes it takes me a week to get back to these people, and they're being very patient with me. So I promise you all that is actually happening. So that's it for my announcements. All right. I guess we're ready for Lili then. All right. We will be right back with Lili Saintcrow. All right. And we are back. Lili Saintcrow was born in New Mexico, fell in love with writing during 2nd grade, and has continued obsessively ever since. She currently resides in the rainy Pacific North with a library for wayward texts. Welcome, Lili.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
I feel like our podcasts often start with this mysterious laughing from our guests because I cut out all of my horrible mispronunciations. And then the guest comes in laughing at those mispronunciations, but the listener never knows what they are.
Oh, no, I was laughing in delight at being able to find the mute button and work it effectively. So, yeah, I feel like I'm doing pretty well today.
Excellent. Well, that's good. And I warned Kat before we started that I'm feeling extra spicy today, so I'm going to try and contain myself, but who knows? We'll see.
Oh, that's no fun. Yes, let's Scotch bonnet this.
Oh my gosh.
That's, millions of Stovilles.
You are about, I've put in 20 years of trying to contain myself. You know that?
Well,
20 years of effort.
I put in a few, but then I had children, and that not only put paid to any dignity, but also severe restraint sometimes.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Because the number one thing about raising children, the hardest thing, the most difficult thing, once you get over the admitting that you're wrong on a daily, sometimes hourly basis, but once you get over that, it's so hard to keep a straight face. You look at this feral little human that you're trying to socialize and civilize, and then you're like, no, it's not possible. Whatever's going to happen, whatever will be, will be. So
yeah, that's so funny. That is so funny. I love that though. And it's so true. With kids, you build up all this restraint, right? Because you don't want to yell at them too much, but you do need to correct them and all this stuff, right? And then they get a bit older and you're just like, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just going to be me and screw everything else.
My favorite was, did we learn a lesson? And family lore holds that, my son at some point when he started to, his prefrontal cortex started really sparking, he decided he did not like that question. So he would shout, no, run to his room and slam the door. So, and then, I'm left there trying to keep a straight face, because how do you deal with that? You don't, you just go with the toddler.
Uh-huh.
And then there are dogs, and, let's all be spicy is what I'm saying.
Right. Oh, we have cats. There's just no trying with cats. There's no point. It's just, they just give you the, whatever look, and then they go about doing whatever they were doing before. So whatever.
Yes.
Like, how dare you control me, human? Back
My
off.
kind were worshipped once. We still are. Don't you forget it.
I mean, not entirely wrong.
That's it.
All right. Well, we should probably talk about you and your work, at least some.
What? No, but we're having so much fun. Why would we do that?
We are. We do have to find a way to get back to Star Hackers somehow, though. I mean,
yes.
Across the universe? I'm sitting over here writing the intro.
And thus a legend was born.
Star Hacker. Oh, we need Dave Robinson to come on and do like an intro for Star Hacker. Cat.
Dave's got an amazing voice. He would do such a good job. Oh my
Oh, he
God.
would.
Yeah.
He would.
All right.
He's one of those people, Lily, who just has a radio voice. You know what I mean? Like he just has this super deep, natural, rich sounding voice, and everything he says
It's like
is
whiskey
amazing.
and honey.
Are we talking like the trailer, in a world,
Yeah.
That's him.
Star Hackers?
That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep. So I was going to start by asking, you've had an extremely prolific career so far. I tried to count the books. I think it's 80-ish, right?
I stopped counting at around 70. There wasn't any point. I used to use 50 as a flex, but then I was like, that's just lame.
And Kat here is one of the other most prolific writers I know, but you were just
in short stories.
More focused on the short stories, but still, I mean, geez.
Oh, don't knock that. Short stories are hard.
Right?
Short stories are so hard.
Much respect to the short stories.
See, a novel, I'm used to the endurance run, and there are certain things that I can be like, yeah, I'll fix it in post, whatever. A zero draft doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to be finished. But a short story, I don't have a lot of room to move. So I have to know the entire thing before my hand even twitches for the hilt.
Okay.
So people who can build short stories and do things like that, I'm like, oh, you're wizards. I can do a short story, but it's I'd rather do novels. I really would.
That is very gracious of you, because I'm
just
your
lazy.
novels tremendously. Yeah, no.
Thank you.
I have a question. Alan, do you have questions, or can I just leap in here?
Leap in, Kat. Leap in. I love this. I love this. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, Lily you said you're using your D&D headset, so I have to ask what you are playing right now.
A cleric. I usually am a cleric. Funny thing, way back when I was playing WoW, I played WoW Vanilla before Vanilla was a thing. I started out as a Nelf priest.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like the single hardest way to play that game, because somebody coughs on you like a boar in Gold Forest or whatever, barfs on you and you die.
Yeah.
So I love playing a cleric in D&D, partly because I'm a clothy, but I also have a little more, what's the word I want? Vim, vigor, more constitution.
Yes.
Can you edit that to make me sound less weird?
Yes, he's going to insert the anti-weird filter. That is what he's going to do.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Good.
Correct. Yes, I can try to use that plug-in actually, and it'll fix it right up.
Oh, God.
So I'm playing a cleric, and one of the things that I like most about playing a cleric is the rest of the group doesn't know. I mean, they know, but their characters don't know that this tiny little cleric who talks people into things, because the charisma score is heavily invested in, is also a fanatic.
Ooh.
So she's a cleric of Ilmater, who in our sessions we refer to as Celestial Sky Daddy.
Love it.
Yeah, we've got the rogue whose kleptomania is only rivaled by his ability to bat his eyelashes at streetwalkers. We have the bard with the mysterious past who just wants to feed everybody. We have the paladin who is obsessed with goats.
That is not the word I expected to be at the end of obsessed with it.
And our druid prefers to spend time in animal form, because then she doesn't have to talk to anybody, because honestly the cleric does all the talking.
Right.
That's amazing.
So we have a really good time, and I hope my D&D group isn't listening to this going, Lily, why did you say that? So we're going into session this upcoming Saturday. So if anybody has a problem, including our lovely, gracious, wonderful, non-psychotic dungeon master.
Oh, you always got to praise the dungeon master.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Do you have a particular race that you like? Are you usually human or elf or?
I haven't played D&D very much, so I've kind of stuck with the elves. I figure the longer lifespan gives me more time to mess up.
True.
When I was playing WoW, I would round robin through races, and killing Murlocs as a vengeance paladin, that was lovely.
So I'm presuming you refer to Horde on WoW.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Just had to check that.
The funny thing about playing Horde, or at least it used to be, I haven't gone to a convention in a dog's age, but it used to be that if you were going to a convention and you saw people in WoW cosplay running around, if you yelled like for the Alliance or whatever, nobody would bat an eye. But if you yell Loktar Ogar, all of a sudden these people are converging, going, "What do you need? Does somebody need to be carried? Is somebody having a medical emergency? What's going on?" So the next time you're at a convention and you see some WoW cosplayers and something goes wrong, scream Loktar Ogar. There you go.
Good Dragon Con tips.
Yeah.
Kat, did you ever play WoW? Were you a WoW player?
I played WoW since the beta.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, so you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about when I say Nelf Priestess and go to that freaking cave in the starting place.
Yes. No, I actually... at some point, I actually had to give up WoW because it was just getting in the way of writing too much. And then I was like, well, I'll just log on and I'll just do auction house stuff. And then that got to be too much. And finally, I just sadly had to say no more WoW. But I loved it very much.
Yeah, a friend and I, we have a WoW compact. When Blizzard starts acting like a reasonable company, we can go back to our characters.
Oh, nice.
I think we haven't played for years.
Oh,
God. Yeah. I was just thinking about that kind of wistfully the other day. I was thinking, I remember those landscapes so well, like the Tauren zone. And I'm like, I can tell you where all the bluffs are. And it's just, it's wild to have absorbed a world that deeply.
Mm-hmm. And my son plays Guild Wars a lot. He's a real Guild Wars head, and that's what he likes about it is the open world and stuff. But I haven't been able to do it first because I'm on Mac and they've stopped because I'm in publishing and they've stopped also the Mac builds and everything. But also I could just fold it. Oh, you mean I don't have to be myself for a while? But that's why that's why I write some things.
Yeah.
Not everything.
Oh, that's so funny. I never played, I shouldn't say I never played WoW. I played WoW very briefly, but I played EverQuest before that quite a bit. And then I played, I think it was Camelot after that quite a bit.
Was it Dark Age of Camelot?
I think it was Dark Age of Camelot, actually, yes.
Where you were perpetually looking at the back end of a horse as you galloped from one place to another?
Yes. Yes, I remember that game. Yes.
That's probably closer to the real experience of adventuring in a fantasy setting than anything else. That and being shot in the knee.
Honestly.
It also had these really dark colors to it. And it just, it felt like such a kind of depressing game in a way that WoW was not. Like WoW has got bright colors every once in a while.
Yeah.
Dark Age of Camelot did not. I mean, it was literally dark.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's cool.
I feel like I mentioned WoW and we went
way off the edge.
I haven't thought of it in a dog's age, so sorry about that.
Well, are there any other role-playing games that you played, or is D&D your first role-playing game?
No, I haven't. I'm not really good with board games because growing up we had a parental figure who would cheat, and then if cheating did not garner a win, there was physical and verbal violence. So I've never liked board games. I've never liked that, and I never really got into role-playing games in middle school, high school, because frankly the boys didn't want me there, and I was already writing X-Men fanfic and spiral notebooks. So I was like, well, I guess I'll just go play with my real friends over here and my thinly veiled authorial self-inserts, and to hell with you. So it's very nice to come to D&D now where the entire group, some of us are very new, some are old-time players, and it's very nice not to be looked at like, well, you have ovaries, you're not allowed here.
Yeah.
I get tired of that. I'm almost 50. I'm tired of that.
Totally fair. I can't believe how nerd culture has blown up, to be honest with you, because when I was playing D&D, it was like, beat up the nerd, get his book, you know what I mean? Like, oh God, run,
Yeah.
It was bad. And then, of course, you had the satanic panic nonsense, which was the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So do you think that the internet is responsible for the blossoming, or just that society was going to move toward greater freedom and loosening up? Or both?
I think the internet made being a nerd more acceptable. Like, once the internet really got going, because like when it first started, right, people were computer nerds, but then I think after a while, people were like, oh shit, this internet thing, I'm using it all the time, and started to respect the people that knew it better. If that makes sense.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, also, how many times can you rewrite like a novel about like, I don't know, regular life stuff? I mean, I feel like at some point, fantasy and science fiction and stuff, there's just, I don't know, people would get bored with the regular everyday stuff. You know what I mean? And at some point, you have to expand.
Which gives resonance to Tolkien's comment about escapism. He was, if you are taken by the enemy, it becomes your duty to escape, and we are all trapped here. Like,
yes.
we're all trapped on Earth. Escapism is. I don't know if he meant for it to resonate to that depth, but there's certainly that layer of it for me.
Yeah.
And talking about Tolkien, ring the bell. I can just hear my kids laughing in the other room. There's the household thing of putting a quarter in, where you put a quarter in somebody and pull their arm, and out comes their fixation. And the skill is in how deftly you apply the quarter so that the person with the fixation doesn't realize that, it's. And so, bank shot off the window when, my daughter mentions Galadriel, and I'm like, in this house, we stand Galadriel for these reasons. And then I'm often going for 20 minutes, and the kids just don't even, they could just watch.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and if one of us like kind of looks at the other and goes, yeah, what about Cats 2019? You can see my daughter's blood pressure rise. Yeah, just put the quarter in.
Did you find genre via Tolkien in fantasy?
Oh, I don't know. Family lore, what little there is from my childhood, goes that I learned how to read when I was 3 years old. And I don't, I'd love to say this is true. Honestly, I don't remember. I remember reading a little golden book and getting so furious at the ending, I decided I was going to do my own, which was an indication. But I don't know what it was about fantasy. I think maybe what it was, the summer I was 11, I read James Clavell's Shogun and Stephen King's It back to back. I selected these books because down at the shops, they had the rotating Carol with the mass market paperbacks inside. And I had only a limited amount of pens. So I would go in looking for the biggest book.
The big book.
I like big books, and I cannot lie. So going in, I'd like, okay, that looks like that'll keep me for a couple days. So, I went home with Shogun, and I was like, what is all this? What's happening here? And then I read It, and the characters in that were 11 years old, and I was like, oh, okay. Oh, Penny.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I read Stephen King very early too, and I can't remember if I've told this story at the podcast before, but I remember this very well. 6th grade, sitting in my English class, and I had I think it was Tommy Knockers was my first Stephen King. It was sitting there. And
the teacher I'm sorry.
Like, hey, when you're like 11, or I don't know, how old are you in 6th grade? You have nothing to compare to, so it's all awesome, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I really think you would like something else more than that. Why don't you try Goosebumps? And I was like, I'm not reading that tiny little thing. Are you kidding me? Like, I've got this giant book right here. This thing's awesome.
I got a mammoth, and you're wanting me to pick my teeth with a chicken bone? Like,
right?
What?
Right? Like, I'm not going back to that. Are you kidding me? And this is like, when Goosebumps was just becoming like a big thing, like back in the early 90s, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. I have a question, and Lily, not that I went and read a whole bunch of interviews by you or anything like that, but in one of them, you mentioned that I believe it was in 5th grade, you won a prize for a novella.
Yes. Yes.
What was the novella about?
Ooh.
Was it genre?
Oh, it was. I am ashamed to talk about it.
Okay.
Well, because we had done a unit on, nowadays it would be called Indigenous history. Back then, both the name and the the approach to the subject matter were highly objectionable.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes.
So it was, how can I put it? I was extremely young.
You
This
were
was fifth
young.
grade,
Yeah.
but it was okay. So God, what was it? The romance covers with the like the whole noble savage thing, like
Mhm.
Savage
Oh, God,
Thunder,
yes.
like what is it, like Cassie
Oh, yeah.
Edwards, and
Yes, it was Cassie
and one
Edwards, I
of
think.
them, and there was that whole plagiarism thing with the black-nosed ferret or the black-nosed marmot.
Yes. Yes. Okay. I do remember that.
We're talking about the deep lore now. Aslan's gonna get.
That is deep lore.
That's the ancient magics. We were there when it was that was LJ time. So basically, imagine a fifth grader wrote one of
Yeah.
those.
Oh, God.
Oh my gosh.
But without any sort of, I mean, there wasn't any romance. I had also at that point
Oh, my
read
God.
at least the first 2 books of Jennifer Roberson's Chronicles of the Chastely, which had a major impact
Oh,
on
yeah.
that tiny
Oh,
novella.
yeah.
And God's bless, this was the first year that I was in a gifted program. Yeah, everybody just go ahead and moan. And the teacher, I remember her. What was her name? Mrs. Iverson. She thought it was the best. God bless this teacher because she paid to have a couple, I don't know, editions, I guess, printed, laminate, each page laminated and like a
Oh, my
nice
God.
cover, a fabric cover, spiral bound. And she gave it to me and she was like, you show real promise and like, don't ever. I had not been so proud since I won second place in a talent contest for reciting a Shel Silverstein poem.
Yeah.
I was so proud.
That's amazing.
That
And
is
looking
amazing.
back, hindsight, you look back and you're like, oh, that was a sign. That teacher looked at this fifth grader and was like, oh, I know what you're going
It's
to
one
do.
of those.
Yep.
Yeah. So I sadly I have no trace of it. It is gone. The commemorative edition was lost in several moves or whatever. And I am ashamed of the subject matter and I'm ashamed of how fifth grade me handled it. And at the same time, I was like, well, you come by it honestly,
Yes.
don't you, Lily?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, okay. So you had written your first romance novel in 5th grade. Okay. So,
Complete with like, it was very gothic.
Ooh.
It was very gothic.
Well, see, I like
There were
gothic.
secret identities. There was the secret son. It just,
Oh, fabulous.
Very nice. Very
I'm
nice.
amazed I didn't get locked up.
I love it. I love it. So then when did you decide to start writing in other genres outside of romance?
Well, I didn't really make that decision. I came to writing is something that I've done all my life, ever since getting furious at that first golden book that did not end the way I found acceptable. Spite is the founder of most writing careers.
Right.
You can go ahead and quote me on that.
I think it's valid. I think it's totally valid.
But I didn't get into publishing until I had 2 toddlers that I could not pay for daycare for, and a husband who at the time who would not get a job, and I was looking desperately for anything I could do at home to support us, or at least the children. So yeah, we're safely divorced. Many years. But incidentally and fortuitously for me, this was around the time that Alora's Cave was just getting underway. And I never brushed up against Alora's Cave, although I knew what they were doing. What was important about this is there was a great rush of, oh, you can do this sort of thing over the internet. You can turn in drafts. You can do contracts this way. You can, Lightning Source. Ingram had just branched out into Lightning Source and just opened Lightning Source up to smaller publishers. So really, I happened along at just the right time and got my first break by sending an absolutely terrible first novel. I was such a new baby writer. I didn't understand that when you have a dialogue tag, he said, she said, you put a comma inside the quotation marks before it. I used periods. I was like, screw the commas. We die like men,
Yeah.
But I got, there was something maybe in that because it was a finished work. And I sent it in with a cover letter. I sent it in the point size and the space between lines that she wanted. So a particular small publisher wrote back like, we would love to take this, but unfortunately we do paranormal romance. So you'd have to cut out the infidelity, the drug use, and oh yeah, there's this thing about commas. So, and by that point too, because I had sent it in and then I was like, well, that's never going to happen. This has already been rejected by an agent. I don't know why I did that. Why don't I just start reading slush for this startup over here doing serials, online serials, which also taught me a lot. So between the two of them, yeah, I was getting an education in publishing, and then the small publisher, came back with the, lose the drug use, the infidelity, and the periods before the dialogue tags. Do you have anything else? And I was like, well, what do you want? I got, I have a trench coat packed with all sorts of things. Just tell me your order. Because I've got something here. So the publisher, Linda Kitchline was her name, sent me a list of these are the things we're looking for, and I banged out, what was it? Dark Watcher. I think I wrote Dark Watcher in like 2.5 weeks, maybe. Oh, maybe 3.
Nice.
Because the only time I reached that speed again was one of the recent Tales of the Sanguinant, which I wrote in 17 days, and that was uncomfortable. But
that's like Pulp Fiction speed right there.
It is.
Well, I had some time, and by that point I knew that being asked back was incredible. I had gotten through a few croquet wickets, and I was determined not to let this chance get away. I had decided to become a persistence predator, which is exactly the right way to approach publishing. You don't chase your dreams. You walk after them steadily so that when they lie down to rest at night, you appear out of the darkness.
Yes.
That's another quote. You're a very quotable person.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so you have no problem writing in any genre, obviously. You have so many books. At what point do you decide, like, this book is going to be a romance, this book is going to be science fiction, like, do you have a story ahead of time and then you're like, okay, I'm going to apply it to this genre, or does it just all occur to you at the same time?
It depends. There are some books that I start out and I know this is going to fit in this genre because it's this sort of story. Take a look at the bookcase here. Something like Iron Worm Affair, I knew that it was steampunky, it was fantasy. Something like Steel Flower, I knew it would be high epic fantasy. Sort of. I was just really tired with women in high epic fantasy who didn't get to curse, swing a sword, or pee. So, and then there are the books that I finished. I didn't know where they fell in the genre line, so I would toss them over the fence at an editor or an agent and be like, where are we going to put this? You want this, you can have it. So things like Blood Call, things like the first Jill Kismet, although we kind of knew what that was. Things like the Human Tales, the second, the YA that I did based on fairy tales.
Right.
So it depends on the story itself. Genre is just so you know where to look for it in the bookstore, and it serves its purpose well. But within the stories that human beings tell each other, it's all arbitrary divisions. just because it's arbitrary doesn't mean it's unnecessary, though.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely different tropes between things. I mean, I think sci-fi and fantasy, there's a lot of crossover between those, but yeah, I agree.
Which is wild because they're basically the same thing.
Yeah.
They're speculative fiction,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
if it's got a spaceship, it's sci-fi. If it's got a unicorn, and then you're Anne McCaffrey, and you're like, roll up your sleeves. We're crossing the streams.
That's like Anne
Yeah.
McCaffrey. Hold my beer.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, I was fortunate to meet her once. She was an amazing human being.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. My uncle got me into science fiction and fantasy, and that was one of his favorite writers, was Anne McCaffrey. So that's cool. It's real cool. I mentioned at the top of the podcast that my friend Jen Eddy was helping us with social media now, and she just asked me randomly the one day, she's like, so, like, how do you know what's fantasy and what's science fiction? And I was like, aha, question for the ages there. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Yeah, nobody's got a clue. We're all winging it here.
Pretty much, right? Do you have a particular genre that you enjoy writing in more?
Oh, no, I write so the stories will leave me alone. But no, there's a difference between, I can write romance with a fair degree of ease because I know the beats. I've done it before. There's certain areas of science fiction I'm more comfortable with because I've worked in them before. Any novel only teaches you how to write that novel. It does nothing for the next one or the one after that. But you do it enough times and the process becomes, I won't say there's a familiarity or an ease to it. It just gets a little easier to endure, I suppose. But no, there's nowadays I'm not in the, I mean, I will write to spec. That was how I started. I was like, what do you want? You want witches? I got witches. You want vampires? I got that. You want ugly vampires? You want bangable vampires? You got to give me more to work with here. You want spaceships, you want flying skateboards, which are still cool. You want retellings what do you want? Come in. I've got all these stories. They're literally lined up around the block. If you would take one off my hands, I'd be most grateful.
Yeah. When somebody says I want X, Y, and Z in a story, go. Like, how do you construct that?
Well, that's all part of the fun. You give me the specs, the tighter the better, which is partly why I enjoy working in romance, because those specs are really tight, especially if you're writing for, say, Harlequin or a specific imprint within Harlequin. But the tightness of that's part of the paradox of writing, is the tightness of the specifications paradoxically frees you up to invert tropes, to mess with things, to approach it from a different direction, to put it in a jar and shake it really hard. And then you pour it out and you're like, what do I have here? So it's good. You have to have some strictures or it's not a story. It's just word vomit. And word vomit is fine, as I think I've adequately proved in the last 30 seconds.
I was going to ask, like, what movie you have seen lately that really impressed you? Because you talked about being a cinematic writer. And is there any movie lately where you've seen it and been like, oh, I want to use that in a book?
Well, everything feeds the work.
Yeah.
Absolutely everything feeds the work. And we have home movie nights now. So every week we round robin, and this week it's my turn. And then, we go around the dinner table and everybody in the house just brings something to movie night. Sometimes it's a documentary. My son is very much into documentaries and YouTube documentaries. Folding Ideas is one of his particular favorites. And that's not anything I would come across on my own. So I love watching that. And now I have a Dan Olson habit. And my daughter does a lot of early anime, and she also did a documentary recently, the documentary on Theranos, the HBO one. I got Blood in the Water or something, which led to both her and I reading the book that John Carreyrou wrote about the entire Theranos thing, which is absolutely wild. It is so wild. I was reading bits. I was sitting on the couch in the living room yelling bits of it into the kitchen at her while she was making enchiladas for dinner. So I get to see things that I normally wouldn't. So lately, the two things that have been kind of hopped into the story mill is a kind of an older film called named Hoodwinked, and I think it's on Tubi. It might be on Tubi, but Hoodwinked is, you look at the animation style and you're like, oh, this is cheap. This is strange. And then you start, and it's Little Red Riding Hood. Certainly, there's a musical number in the first 5 minutes where Little Red is, singing about being in the forest and everything. And then it proceeds to cheerfully demolish every bit of the fairy tale. It's lovely narrative payoffs everywhere. The structure is amazing. The structure is as good as Bullet Train, which was an amazing movie, an amazing experience.
Oh, God.
So Hoodwinked was really, really good. And then we watched The Beekeeper because I have a fondness for Jason Statham movies.
Yes. Who does not?
Yeah. So, he does the one thing and he does it so well. Like Timothy Olyphant, he does that one thing and he does it really, really well.
Okay.
But if you want to talk about movies that influence and inform my own work, there's Alex Proyas. He's the director for Dark City and the Crow movie with Brandon Lee. And so if you read Danny Valentine, you will know exactly what Alex Proyas movie was playing in my head during every scene. And there's also Wong Kar-wai, who just the amount of time he takes over shots. I know that his backers and his producers are driven to despair, but the Hong Kong auteur of it all just hits me right in the throat. I think Happy Together is my favorite Wong Kar-wai film and the one that's had the most effect on me personally.
Nice.
I will watch any Jane Eyre adaptation. I don't care if it's good, bad, indifferent. I will watch it. What is Fellini? Fellini's been a big thing. And I also really, really love action movies. I love, you give me an action movie, I don't care how cheesy it is, I don't care how bad it is, I don't care how scripted, how by the numbers. I love it. I am the easiest audience for action movies it is possible to imagine. And I also love movies like Jupiter Ascending, where you can see what got the director excited and how it kind of fell short. Like they were trying to mold together this gigantic space opera canvas and Wizard of Oz, and then they forgot Wizard of Oz halfway through. And then, but the Wachowskis, even when they forget halfway through, I'm just here for the ride.
Yeah.
Sorry, I went off in the weeds there again, didn't I?
No, we're all about that. I mean, be honest with you, we're very about that. Just laughing because she knows it's true. I was going to ask you about the action movies. Like that's real interesting to me. I feel like I have like these periods where like I love action movies and then I hate action movies, and then I love action movies and then I hate action movies. Like what about action movies doing it for you right now?
If an action movie has the courage of its convictions, if it's like, yes, this plot has giant threadbare holes, the special effects are nothing to write home about, we couldn't get anybody with any real experience to play henchman number 3, so he's just going to lie on the floor and twitch. That's my cousin Jimmy. Like, if an action movie, despite all that, has the courage of its convictions and is like, fuck it, we ball, I'm in. And the earliest instance of this was Highlander.
Oh, God.
To me.
Oh, yeah.
You've got this, I'm supposed to believe this Belgian guy is Scottish. I'm supposed to believe that Sean Connery came from Egypt. Okay. I can believe that. I can believe that part. And then later when I saw Zardoz, I was like, so what part of Ramirez's backstory is this?
That's funny, Zardoz.
Oh, God. I went through most of an interview without mentioning Zardoz. This has to be some kind of record.
Oh gosh, my friends over at Unofficial Hugo Fan Club are obsessed with Zardoz, and they post about Zardoz constantly.
Courage of its convictions.
Yeah.
I can watch that. On the other hand, the fifth is Jarhead movie, maybe not so much. And that's a Dan Olson reference for all of you folding ideas people in the audience, wherever you are. I'm one of you now.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh, gosh, man, we are so off track. Like, okay. I do have one very specific question for you. First book of yours I read was Coyote Run, right?
Yep.
Your publisher sent it to me and I reviewed it, and I very specifically wrote about the torture scene in that, right? Because generally I am not a fan of that sort of thing, but I think you somehow you knew how far to go to get the emotional impact and then stop without like going over into like horror space. You know what I mean? But I noticed in the last couple other books of yours that I've read a very similar, especially like I think it was After War, you know, there's no torture scenes in that, but there is definitely like a lot of physical things happening. I mean, and just so the audience knows, it's like it's literally after a war, and you know they're trying to like clean up the fascists, right? And you know things blow up and people get shot and all that sort of thing. But you're very good at reaching that emotional impact without going over the line, right? I guess my question is like, how have you decided far enough is far enough? You know what I mean? Because I feel like people either are like, oh yeah, they got tortured, or like it goes into this grotesque thing, right? That's most of the torture scenes that I've experienced, movie or book, right? How do you know like how to go far enough? And do you like have any thoughts around that?
Well, what's just far enough for you might not be for another reader. On the other hand, if somebody comes to my work and they're familiar with my work at all, they're going to know that certain things do happen and I don't shy away from it. But the most important thing there is, does it serve the story? And within the story, does it serve the character's need? What's important in the torture scene isn't really the torture. What's important in the torture scene is how Coyote deals with it. She's deliberately put herself in this situation. Some of that is for the job that she's taken, and she is an incredibly arrogant creature. She's an incredibly arrogant character, and I love that about her. So she has taken this job. By God, she'll see it through or she'll die. But the other engine driving Coyote Run is she wants to return to this place to prove that she could leave it, to prove that her first escape was not just luck. It's very much whistling past the graveyard for her. So Coyote in that scene is, she's smart, she's thinking ahead, and the image that I had in my head while writing that particular scene was of an animal caught in a trap making the decision to chew their own limb off. This is not pretty, and to describe it is, that scene wrecked me. That it was tremendously emotionally difficult. At the same time, it was profoundly liberating to write, because you know a lot of female coded characters in an anti-fascist tale are arm candy, or they're the soldier who falls in love despite herself, and you know, but Coyote is none of those things. I didn't want her to find by any of those things, and I'm really really grateful to Horned Lark and to Kevin Hearn, because when he tapped me for this project, I said, I can do this, but I need to know you're behind me. I have been kind of, when you go to write something especially like this, it's like descending into a dark cave. You've got the line behind you, you've got a stick in your hands, and you need to come out with the monster. You know, alive or dead, you need to come out with the monster. It's a lot easier if there's somebody up at the cave mouth holding the rope for you and watching to make sure nothing comes into the cave after you. So I said, you know, I can do this. If I'm going to do this, I will want to swing for the fences. So it's going to be profane. It's going to be gory. It's going to be unfiltered. You know, if you have a problem with that, I'm probably not the person for this particular project, because I am fucking mad and I do not want to take this anymore. And he said, That's great. That's perfect. That's exactly the energy we need. When's your deadline? When can you get this to me? So, God's bless. And he was just, the publisher was great all the way down the line. So that was intentional for me to swing to the fences in that fashion. Now, as for your question, I got distracted there. Does it serve the story? Does it serve the underlying purposes you want that scene to accomplish? Does it serve the character? That's kind of the holy trinity in scenes like that. You can't go too far wrong by obeying those three dictates and having a clear idea of what this scene needs to do. That scene needed to show what Coyote was up against, what she had escaped the first time, and just how smart she is, because she's outthinking everybody in the room, even while she's strapped down and bits are being cut off her. Did I give too much of it away?
I mean, I don't think so.
You can stop me anytime now.
No.
But there will also be readers who are like, why did you do that? That's too much. I can't do it. I'm squicked. And then, this is not the story for you. I'm not the writer for you. Godspeed. So.
Yeah. I just remember sitting there during that scene being like, oh gosh, here we go. And like getting ready to put the book down. But then I never did. And I was like, oh, that was like the perfect amount for me. That was far enough without being like, without venturing into like Game of Thrones territory where it's just like, for me, too much,
Sometimes it's a male gaze question. One of the most effective uses of terrorization that I've seen lately, we were talking about films, was in the Birds of Prey movie, the Harley Quinn Birds of Prey movie, where Ewan McGregor's character has the woman on the table and is there's a lot of menace in that scene. But the way it's shot is incredibly interesting because it's not a male gaze. It doesn't dwell on the female character's terror in the same way that a male director used to occupying that position of power would. It's very much shot as somebody who knows what the woman on the table is going through and is highlighting that and making Ewan McGregor's, he's the villain, so he's a scared little boy who's taking it out on everybody else. Shocking in this current historical moment, I know. But some of it is a question of that male gaze. Are you inhabiting a place of power while you're looking at this thing? And some of it's just, a lot of that is the choices that a writer makes. Every writer, before a single word gets on the page, has made millions of choices, and during the act of creation, choosing one word, discarding another, going back, doing this, millions of choices in what you leave out, what you put in. And since you're the filter the story is coming through, that's going to affect and color everything else that the story does. But that's why they come to you. That's why they're lined up outside your door and nobody else's. You're the only one who can tell these stories, so make sure you bloody well do it right. So you can just, nice bank shot with the quarter there.
Yes. We've kind of walked around politics a little bit, mentioned it a little bit here and there without going directly at it. I'm curious, where do you think art and writing exist in this current political climate?
Well, there's a reason why they come for the artists first. In order to build a better world, or even in order to get the boot off your neck, you have to first believe such a thing is possible and think of a way to make it happen. And that's what storytellers do. We provide alternatives. We provide a clear look at what's going on, which necessarily throws those alternatives into sharp relief. Ursula Le Guin had a lot to say about this, and I think she was right all the way down the line. A storyteller's job in times like this is to protect the work, I think. And to protect the work and to say as clearly as possible, this is wrong. This is wrong. You shouldn't be doing this. And if you are called to write the fluffy stories, the cozies, the romanticies where there's only a little peril and everybody comes out all right, or the romanticies where there's a lot of peril, but that the main character is going to win because they have plot armor. that is just as important as the people writing, terribly important, groundbreaking climate fiction or solar punk. These things are all important. The escapism to provide some relief under the constant deluge of trash we're expected to swallow, against the showing what is possible and the articulating what is wrong now. Both those things are incredibly important. I wish these two sides would stop sniping at each other, because when we fight each other, the fascists are busy picking our pockets. But, we wouldn't be artists if we weren't sniping at each other. It's one of the few joys we hold dear to our hearts. Because art is a human thing. It is a human instinct. And the fuel for it is, there's love. There's a lot of love. Most of it's spite, though. Most of it is absolutely spite. You are not going to stop me from telling this story. You told me I couldn't, so I'm going to. I think you're wrong, and besides, your pants don't fit because you're a demented orange king. I'm going to tell you that. Spite works.
I love it. Do you think this is why, or at least part of the reason why AI is attempting to come after, or the people who run AI are attempting to come after artists first?
I think they would like the creative class to be entirely serfs instead of just on the thin margin of poverty. I think the people running the AI grift want this because they are upset that the creative class has the ideas and the discipline to make the ideas come out. And the people who are running the grift just want the idea and a little bit of soft shoe and being born into the right family or sucking up to the right venture capitalist to be enough. It is a profoundly greedy, empty, envious grift that they're running. I also think that independently of that, they wouldn't be having the sort of heyday they're having now if this, well, I suppose we can call it a technology, if LLMs and chatbots and that hadn't reached the point where they are the perfect fascistic tool. The chatbot is never going to tell you no. The chatbot is never going to challenge your view of the world. The chatbot is never going to say, that was a really insensitive joke and that was not funny. Do you care to rephrase that? There's no pushback from the chatbot. So basically, these people love sitting around and huffing on their own fascism. And it's the only way they can keep going, because when their worldview collides with reality, reality wins. And storytellers, this is another paradox of writing. Storytellers, and particularly writing fiction, even though we lie for a living, that's literally what we do. We use the lies to tell the truth. And that is one thing that the fascists absolutely cannot abide. Also being laughed at.
Oh, yeah.
Which we do. A lot.
A lot. Yes. A lot. Okay, our wrap-up questions, I guess. This is the one we tried to prepare you for at the beginning. Now...
and I almost broke down crying because, how am I going to answer that?
Now we find out if you're prepared.
Oh no.
Time to run the gauntlet.
Grab my desk here.
What is bringing you hope right now?
That is an extremely difficult question, because some mornings I do not have it. Some mornings I wake up and I do my best not to open social media feeds and look at the news, and I fail miserably. And I can't go back to bed because the dog needs walkies and, there's work. And anyway, it's my night to cook dinner. So there are mornings lately when it's not hope. It's, you guessed it, spite. The hope that I do get comes from Tressie Cottom McMillan, I think is the right way to pronounce her name. She gave a talk recently where she says quite clearly, what these people want, the AI bros, the fascists, the unholy marriage going on there, what these people want is for you to take it as given that the future is already decided, and
Uh-huh.
it's not. They wouldn't be so repressive, they wouldn't be fighting so hard to repress us if the future was settled.
Uh-huh.
So it's kind of a proof positive that it's not. And, she's incredibly intelligent. If she says that the future isn't settled yet, I am more than willing to believe. That is the thing giving me hope now. Just look at how hard they're thrashing. Look at how hard they're trying to convince us that stories don't matter, that being kind to other people doesn't matter, that, caring for your neighbors doesn't matter, that caring for the children of your neighbors just as much as you care for your own children doesn't matter. They're saying that feeding children doesn't matter. They're saying that keeping children safe from dying of preventable diseases doesn't matter. And we know those things are not true. That is the future they want to enforce upon us. They say it's a foregone conclusion. Oh, everybody's doing it. You'll be left behind. No, I don't believe that, because you are protesting far too much. I would rather believe that you can hear I'm getting choked up. Talking about hope is an important thing. That scene in Andor where they're escaping the prison, you see, let me see if I may have to do this a couple times because I can't say it without crying. But you see somebody lost. You see somebody looking around, they don't know where to go. You find that person, you take them, you help them along. That is what stories do. And any hope that is provided in the course of that is at once a bonus and the bare necessity for enduring the times we find ourselves in. Hopefully you can make that sound less like I decided to break down crying in the middle of it.
It's all good.
So, on the one hand, spite instead of hope is the one thing that's getting me through this current historical moment. And on the other hand, they're fighting awful hard and they're protesting awfully loudly for people who have the future on lock. I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that answer so much. Thank you for that.
I'm sorry for breaking down in the middle of it.
No,
No, that's lovely.
totally okay.
I feel quite intensely about this, and you can see why I missed it up when you broached it at the beginning. I was like, oh, God, how am I going to articulate this? Like, I want to get a good grade in explaining this. This is both natural to want and achievable.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel safe in saying that Kat and I both very much feel that way too. I mean, that we put so much time into this podcast, and we always ask that question. That's kind of our theme,
It is.
Well, and it's quite lovely. I got the request for the podcast, and I saw, Mix Rambo's name, and I was like, I think I've met that. I know I've met that person, but we've never met, and yet I am convinced. I am convinced that we have met, and I even at the bookstore. So, but at every step since then, you have been just organized and cogent and anticipating questions. It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah.
I like
thank you.
working with people who care about what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we definitely do. We both care very much about fiction. I mean, gosh, Kat, it's your job, right? So obviously, but and we care about pushing back, and we care about talking about hope.
Well, and
I don't know where else I want to go with that. But.
Mix Rambo, you've been reading for a very long time, so I'm gonna open that up. What question do you want me to answer?
Oh my God.
What would you like? You get a freebie. What do you want? Kick for the goalpost.
We've gone through the kind of like all of the questions that I have jotted down, but I am curious what you're working on right now.
Oh, right now I'm making the Muse furious because I'm reformatting old books that have been reverted. So, but what I'm working on right now, when I'm not working on that, fresh writing, I'm working on Innkeeper's War, which is what if you set out to save the world and you failed And then 20 years later, you've got this, stupid service job that, fine, it fulfills all your needs. And the wizard who got you into that in the first place shows up again with another farm boy for you to look after.
Amazing. Okay.
So that's Innkeeper's War. That's what I'm working on. I'm also working on another Tale of the Underdark, because those are playing variations, and I'm writing a serial for my Patreon and Gumroad subscribers, Reader and Shadow.
Nice.
So young adults, telepaths and telekinetics, psychics, and the people who are supposed to protect them. And it's a magical boarding school, and I threw all the tropes in, and it's another chance for me to write X-Men fanfic.
That's awesome. That is really awesome.
So those are the three things that I'm juggling right now.
I love that. Are you a comics fan? This is not a podcast question. This is just me personally being curious.
I love comics. I love graphic novels. I love comics. I have certain discrete tastes. ETE, not the double ET. So my knowledge of comics is scattershot, and there's a manga from over here, and then there's Jim Lee's run on X-Men, which just inject that right into my veins. There's a lot of Alan Moore's work that really resonates with me. Yeah. You talk about Coyote Run, and there's a lot of V for Vendetta in there. Yeah.
I just hope that Marvel doesn't decide after this layoff that they're going to go AI art. This is my newest fear. If they go AI art, I swear to God, I'm never reading another Marvel comic again the rest of my life.
Yeah, they could let them sit in the tar pit of their own inequity, their own greed, basically.
Yeah.
Because what they're saying isn't, we want to explore this art form. What they're saying is we want to abuse artists even more than we already do.
Yep.
So
right.
The good thing is there are so many alternatives. There's side quested, there's small comics, there's webtoons, there's just an explosion of art and text put together on the page for, so you won't even miss Marvel unless, you're on a forum. So.
Yeah. No, I love that. I've got us off on another tangent here too. So
I'm prone to that. The quarters, they just keep banking in.
This is the podcast for that, for sure. What was I going to say? Oh, last question. Where would you like people to find you online?
My website is the best place, www.lilisaintcrow.com. My name, because I am not very creative despite all appearances. I blog. I have a monthly sales page with all sorts of price drops and new releases. I try to keep it up to date. Mostly it's the blog. The blog lately has been all about our dog Boxnoggin and his various adventures. He has more fans than I do. Right now he's very upset because I locked him out of the office for this. I'm going to need to make it up to him.
Cat, that's like Prema Muhammad's cat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the greatest social asset any writer can have is a photogenic pet.
Or even just,
it really seems that way.
I mean, he's lovely. I tend to not take pictures for security reasons, but sometimes he's just so beautiful that I'm like, look at this absolute himbo of an apex predator living with me. I sleep with this creature. Look at him.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, Boxnoggin's like upside down, and his mouth is open, and his teeth are hanging out. He's getting his belly rub ration for the day, and I'm like, aren't you just the apex predator? Aren't you? Look at you, 70 pounds of muscle and bad intention. Oh yes, scratch there, mother, scratch there.
That's so funny. Thanks so much for coming on. We've really appreciated it.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Especially, Mix Rambo, I swear, one of these days we will be in the same room together.
We will be at a con at some point together.
I know you.
It will happen.
And then my assertion that I've met you will become fact.
It's a plan.
And that was our conversation.
That was really great. I knew it was going to be, but it exceeded my expectations.
Yeah. She's, I think, top 3 favorite guests, possibly. Wow, hilarious. So many quotable things that she had to say. I really enjoyed that. That was super fun. Are you reading anything fun right now?
I am right now reading a book by George Saunders. It's nonfiction. It's called A Swim in a Pond in the Rain, and it is about writing. And you read 7 Russian short stories. I'm actually using it in my craft book discussion group. We just started it yesterday.
Ooh.
And just had a great discussion. There are like a dozen people, and it turned out a lot of closet people who really liked Russian writing, which I had not been aware of. So it's really good, really worth reading.
Oh, that's cool.
What about you? What are you reading?
Let's see. I am currently reading, I got to make sure I get the name right here, The Cellar Below the Cellar by Ivy Grimes. And
Is that
it is
Cellar Cellar or S-E?
Yes.
Okay, never mind.
Yes. Both of them are Cellar, The Cellar Below the Cellar. And I'm only like maybe 3 chapters in. It's a short, it's like I guess it would be a novella, probably about 120 pages. But so far it's about a woman and her grandmother who brought her up, and then she goes to visit her one day, and then suddenly the sky like turns green basically, and then they're convinced that the world is ending.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
But I there's definitely an element of humor here because they like instantly are convinced that the world is ending without any reason except for that the sky changed color, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's been super enjoyable so far. I'm looking forward to finishing it up. And it's a nice,
Awesome,
quick read after a few really long reads. So,
nice.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
So, all right. Excellent. And so that's been our episode this time around. Thank you, everybody, for supporting us. We are bringing you hope one episode at a time. If This Goes On, Don't Panic is edited and produced by Alan Bailey. Our theme music is by Father Flamethrower. Additional music is by Christopher Sidrowski, and outro music by Sable Aradia. Intro by Dave Robinson. Special thanks to our guest, Lili Saintcrow. Thanks for supporting us, and we'll see you again soon.